Hello, I'm Colby Mazzarella. Welcome to Life Matters, where we interview guests who protect human life from conception to natural death. Our guest today is Marianne Luthin. She is the director of the Pro-Life Office of the Archdiocese of Boston. Thank you for being on our show.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Colby.
So what does the Pro-Life Office do for the Archdiocese? The Archdiocese of Boston, what kind of activities do you have in your office?
Well, we have a wide range of services and programs that serve residents across the Archdiocese, which goes all the way from the New Hampshire border down to Plymouth and almost out to Worcester, and of course includes the city of Boston as well. Of particular importance is our Pregnancy Help Office, which is physically located both in Brighton on the grounds of Brighton Marine Health Center and also a satellite office in Natick. And Pregnancy Help offers a wide range of services to women who are experiencing crisis pregnancy. So we go all the way from pregnancy testing, counseling, up to birth, postpartum, and sometimes even beyond that.
So how would a woman typically come to the Pregnancy Help Office?
How would she come?
Yes.
Very many different ways. It's interesting. We keep pretty accurate statistics on how women reach us because obviously it's very important to us. Some come through the internet. Some come from referrals from hospitals or social service groups that we work with. Some come from word of mouth experience from other women who've experienced what happens at Pregnancy Help and appreciate the services and tell others about it. We receive other referrals from parishes across the Archdiocese and some through the internet.
Well, what would be an example of a crisis pregnancy? What kind of situation is a woman in?
Well, it could be any number of situations which are threatening to a woman. It's really interesting if you think about that word crisis. It has a distinct meaning. It's kind of a double meaning, and one part of the meaning is that a decision has to be made. It's a critical point where a decision has to be made. And also, it can be a time of peril. Mm-hmm. And for many women who are experiencing a crisis pregnancy, there is indeed peril and there is the need to make a decision. And it is our hope and our mission at Pregnancy Help that she will receive the support, that she will be able to make a life-affirming decision with her pregnancy and continue on to childbirth, perhaps consider adoption, which some women do. And it's a very courageous decision for many women, especially in this culture, to even make that consideration. But we are there to provide the help and support. Our program is somewhat unique in that we are staffed by nurses and bilingual caseworkers. Mm. So we're able to offer a wide range of services and really offer a place where women can come and speak from their heart.
So if a woman is coming, she has a decision to make, a critical crisis decision to abort or keep the pregnancy going and have a baby and maybe keep it or give it for adoption. What kind of problems is she facing that make her consider abortion?
Well, probably the most common situation that women experience when they come to Pregnancy Help is that they've been abandoned. Mm-hmm. When they receive the news that they are pregnant, the father of the baby often leaves. Often parents or siblings encourage the woman to have an abortion. Her friends don't want to encourage her to go ahead with the pregnancy, and she feels all alone. And what a sinking, terrible feeling it is, to receive the news that you're going to be a mother, and then everyone around you is so negative.
So someone might feel like they have to have an abortion, but it's supposed to be, by law, they say it would be a choice, but some people feel like they have no choice. And what do you have to offer for them?
We are there to support the woman with whatever help she needs. For many women, it begins just with confirming the pregnancy. Sometimes she would like to have an ultrasound to really determine that the pregnancy is viable. And thanks to a grant from the Knights of Columbus, actually, we do have ultrasound services through a partnership with St. Elizabeth's Hospital. That's part of what we offer. We do a lot of referral work for health insurance in particular, but for other social services, for employment, for education. If a woman is in college and doesn't know what to do with the pregnancy, we're able to provide support and encouragement and really putting her in touch with the people who can help her, which is so critical.
So I've heard people say, you work for the Archdiocese of Boston, yes. I've heard people say, well, the Catholic Church doesn't care about the woman, just wants her to have the baby, and then, abandons her like everybody else. So
Right.
what do you have to say for
Well, if someone says that, they really don't know the extent of the services provided here in the Archdiocese. And, it is a very delicate issue, and we highly respect and value confidentiality. And so, it does make it a little bit more difficult sometimes for us to explain exactly the entire range of services. But interestingly enough, the Archdiocese of Boston took over the sponsorship of Pregnancy Help in 1985. And prior to that, Pregnancy Help had been run by lay people in the Archdiocese. So it was founded in 1973. So we're one of the oldest crisis pregnancy centers in the entire country, and we have a great deal of experience to bring to the fore. And one of the other things that makes us unique around the country is that we have the incredible support of our parishes across the Archdiocese. Each year, 70 or 80 or sometimes 90 parishes will sponsor parish baby showers in order to help women and children who are in need. And they understand, yes, the church is opposed to abortion because the church believes that each and every human life is sacred from the moment of conception. But we also know the very real pitfalls, really, that women face in being able to continue their pregnancy, and they know that we have to be there with practical material support as well. And we're just so incredibly grateful to them.
So a local parish would have a baby shower, but they don't know the baby, they don't know the mother, they're donating things to you.
That's correct. And, we feel it's absolutely essential to maintain confidentiality for our clients. And, having a crisis pregnancy can be very embarrassing. For some women, it could be even shameful. And we want to respect their dignity. So it's important that they receive that service with complete confidentiality. And the people in the parishes who go out and do these, to me, it's even more of an act of love and support that you go out for a complete stranger. And, I was at a parish in Boston, not Hyde Park, a few months ago. And it was really interesting because a woman was saying that she had gone out, her Catholic Daughters group actually was sponsoring a baby shower for us, and her granddaughter happened to be there, and she told her what she was doing, and the granddaughter said, "You mean you're going out to a store, spending money, and buying a present for a baby you don't know?" And she said, "Sure, exactly. Do you want to come with me?" And, it was a beautiful evangelizing moment because we understand that many of those we serve are not seen. They're very small and very vulnerable, but we're there. We're there for them.
So you're really being a voice for voiceless human beings.
A lot of people are being a voice and a heart and hands and everything else that needs to be done in order to give that woman the support that she desperately, desperately needs. It's such a critical point. And, a pregnant woman is especially vulnerable, and even though we claim to be a society of choice, for many women, as you mentioned earlier, there really isn't a sense that there is a choice about continuing the pregnancy. Everyone tells her, have the abortion. You can't be a good mother. And we're saying, you are a mother and you can be a very good mother.
So if somebody wanted to help you, or somebody needed help in a crisis pregnancy, they're considering abortion and they don't know what to do, how would they reach you?
Well, if they are a woman in crisis, we ask them to call or email the Pregnancy Help Office directly. I think you're going to show that number, but it's 617-782-5151. And if they call Monday through Saturday, they should receive a live answer on the phone. We have nurses and bilingual caseworkers on staff. They'll initially talk with them. They will encourage them to come in and sit down and have an appointment so that there's time to spend with all the needs that this particular woman faces. If a parish or an individual wants to help out, would encourage them to call the business office at the pro-life office so that the phone lines aren't tied up at Pregnancy Help. And that number actually is in Natick, and that's 508-651-1900.
So that's the number for people who wanted to help out, 508-651-1900.
Correct.
And maybe we can get the other number on the screen, which is for someone in a crisis pregnancy who wants to contact Pregnancy Help, 617-782-5151.
Great. And
Let's try to get that on the screen.
Just to reassure people that all our services are completely free, completely confidential, and even though we are sponsored by the Archdiocese of Boston, We don't ask people's religion. We have women of all faiths and no faiths, and unchurched and very churched. It doesn't make a difference. Anyone who needs the help is free to come.
So you don't have to be Catholic. You just, if you have a crisis pregnancy, call 617-782-5151.
That's right.
Okay. Now, that's only one side of your pro-life office for the Boston Archdiocese. You also have Project Rachel. What's that?
Well, Project Rachel is just a beautiful, beautiful ministry of the church, originally across the United States, now really across the world, in which provides help and support, hope and healing for women and men who are in pain from past abortions. The name Project Rachel is taken from a beautiful scripture passage where we encounter Rachel weeping. And in the passage, she weeps for her children who are no more. And it's inconsolable weeping. And then at the end of the passage goes on that the Lord comes to her and says, "Cease your cries of mourning, wipe the tears from your eyes, there is hope for your future." And it is so much the hope for the future, but also the deep pain that so many women feel. And there really aren't many places to go and talk to anybody about it.
So what's the program that you have to offer for a woman who has had an abortion, who is suffering? They didn't tell her at the clinic that she would be suffering like this. What do you have to offer?
Well, we aim to provide an integrated approach to healing. We understand that every woman heals differently. It depends maybe how far away she was from the abortion, the circumstances surrounding it, and just the kind of individual personality that she has. So we try to provide both one-on-one and group models of healing. So for an example of the one-on-one, it may be supportive counseling, and maybe initially over the phone or then coming in the office. For many women who call, they would very much like to have a sacramental encounter with God in the sacrament of reconciliation, and so we are able to refer women to specially trained priests who understand their pain, who understand Pope John Paul's beautiful call to encourage women to seek healing and to seek reconciliation with their child and those who are involved with the abortion decision. We also have some limited referrals for professional counseling, because sometimes the pain is just so deep that a woman has really had just such a traumatic experience that she needs some professional help. We also offer group models of healing, particularly our one-day retreats. We've had almost 300 women go through the retreats, and without exception, they have told us it's been an important step and encounter with the healing process. The retreats are held on a one day. They're generally always on a Saturday in different locations, but always a confidential location. So if a woman is interested in coming, she could call or email, and once she's made a confidentiality pledge not to disclose the location or any personal stories that may be told, we can explain where the retreat will be held. And one of the unique things that happens at a Project Rachel retreat is that for many women, it's the first time since the experience they've been able to talk about it with anyone.
That would be really hard to go through years of not talking about what happened to you.
And
so now you'd have a group of people who had been through the same experience.
Right, and often, Colby, it is many, many years. We've had women in their 80s who have come to the retreats.
So it's still on their mind, something that happened maybe 60 years ago.
And can you imagine going through your entire adult life, really seeing yourself through the lens of having had that abortion? And for the older women, when abortion was illegal and never so secretive, it's even more difficult because they feel an even deeper sense of shame. But one of the beautiful healing things that takes place at the retreat, when you have an older woman who maybe kept this inside of her for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, it's so encouraging for younger women to come forward, find peace with God, peace with yourself, peace with your child, peace with the father of the baby, peace maybe with your parents who encourage you to have this abortion, and go on and live in the love of God and have the beautiful, wonderful life that God wants for her.
So I can imagine if a woman had an abortion when it was illegal, as you said, it would have been a secret because it was illegal. But how about since 1972? since Roe v. Wade, is it still secretive? Are people really holding it in and not talking to anyone about it?
There are virtually no places to go and talk about the experience. And I think part of what happened in Colby was, especially during the 1970s, abortion was seen as a woman's right. You know, it was all about her autonomy, all about her freedom, and because she had this newfound so-called right to abortion, she was able to go ahead with her life and do anything she wanted to do. But as it turns out, abortion was not such a good thing for many women, and there was some often silent pain that was attached to the abortion. But because the culture said, this is your right, this is your freedom, you chose it, so you live with the consequences.
Well, that gets back to the first project, Pregnancy Help, that people are supposed to have this legal free choice, but they feel that they don't have a choice.
Day after day after day. And as we've gone on since Roe versus Wade, nearly 1 out of every 3 women of childbearing years in the United States will have an abortion. That's a staggering, staggering statistic. Nearly 1 out of 3. And these are women you and I know and love. You know, we may work with them, we may go to church with them, we go on the tea with them, and there is that sense of silent shame and sorrow. And, you know, sometimes you can live with it stuffed down deep inside you for a long time. And many women have told me, you know, they were very good about stuffing down their emotions. But sometimes it would just come to the fore. Perhaps, you know, a woman who had an abortion in her early 20s, maybe she was a college student, and then, you know, 5, 6, 7 years later gets married, gets pregnant with her first child, and sees the ultrasound. And maybe it was the same age at which she had the abortion. And it just devastates her. And who do you talk to about that?
Are there other moments in life that tend to bring back the memory of the abortion you had long ago?
There can be a lot of triggers. You know, sometimes it could be as simple as, you know, seeing a television commercial. You know, sometimes, you know, happy babies. It could be family showers. Sometimes it's Christmas and the holidays, and the thought is there, well, you know, my child would have been 8 years old, or my child would have been the same age as my niece or my nephew. And there's a pain, very, very deeply felt. You know, we find a lot of triggers happen when a parent dies. And sometimes that parent had been involved with the abortion, but sometimes they hadn't. And a lot of women actually have had abortions because they didn't want to disappoint their parents.
So their parents might never have known.
They might never have known. And you know, it's interesting how some women will say, well, I believe my parents are in heaven, and now they're going to find out they had a grandchild. And they don't know how to deal with that. And that's when the pain comes to the fore.
So something that they had buried in themselves is coming back. So after the one-on-one counseling with Project Rachel and the group, if they go for a day retreat with Project Rachel, can they do that again, or what's the ongoing situation?
It's a great question. The ongoing support is through a monthly support group, and it's open to anyone who has been on the retreat and, you know, has had some beginning, at least, experience of encounter of the love and mercy of God and a sense of healing. And one of the great things about the support group is that the women are there for one another. And, you know, it could be, you know, things are going fine, and then, you know, something happened. Maybe there's a sickness in the family. Maybe there's a death. Maybe you lose your job. And, you know, you're just feeling down and you don't know where to go. And this is a place where women can go and know that they will be understood and accepted. So that's been a very, very big help. One of the other sort of ongoing ways of healing that we've discovered over the years is that many women have told us that by going to a retreat and having this real encounter with God's love and mercy, a real sense of forgiveness, that it's had a life-changing effect, very much to the better. And they've become more interested in God and faith and religion, maybe going back to church, because for a lot of them, many years have felt they weren't worthy to go to church. Even though they wanted to be closer to God, they felt that they had done the unspeakable, the unforgivable, and couldn't be allowed in the church doors.
So some people actually feel like, well, God can't forgive an abortion.
Some women will say that the more common way they seem to express it is that they understand somehow, well, maybe God can forgive, or at least other people, but I can't forgive myself. And so it's the difficulty of accepting the forgiveness. And you know, that's a very, very difficult thing to have to work through. But as they do come to a point of healing and hope and just renewed interest in the spiritual life, they want to learn more about their faith. You know, many of them are Catholic, but not everyone is. But just how do you find ways to grow in your faith? And that's an important place where local church life is so important, that they provide the place for faith formation and spiritual growth and direction. And, you know, because, you know, I like to think of it that when, say, a woman who has children, who's been dealing with this pain, comes to the Project Rachel retreat, experiences the sense of healing, she goes on to become a better mother, a more loving mother, and hopefully her daughters will never have to go through what she went through. And she'll always leave the door open for them to come to me, whatever the situation is.
Well, so you have pregnancy help for women in a crisis pregnancy, Project Rachel for women recovering after an abortion, and you also have the Respect Life education. What's that about?
Well, we know that it is so, so, so important to reach young people in their formative years so that they understand not only the sacredness of each and every human life, but the real gift of human sexuality. And you know, we could go on for probably 3 more programs talking about how toxic our culture can be for our young people and what negative messages it sends about love, life, family, relationships. And, you know, our young people growing up in that culture, you know, I did some research quite a number of years ago, and at that point, the American Psychological Society was saying that the average teenager in America was exposed to about 14,000 sexual innuendos over the course of the year from television and movies, and you know, that was before the sexting craze. And you know, they just have such, you know, an unfortunate understanding of what life is all about. And so it's so vitally important for young people and their parents to hear the good news and the gift of human sexuality and, you know, God's plan for true happiness. And you know, we know abortion and STDs and all these things, they don't bring human happiness, they just bring pain.
So you present mostly to middle school students? Middle
school is the desired curriculum age. Actually, Cardinal Sean had said that this is the age we need to focus, but we also need to talk to the parents. So it's not just going out and talking to kids, but encouraging parents to really speak with their young people about the gift of their human sexuality. And you know, sometimes it's very difficult for parents to have the right words, and you know, especially when it seems like everybody else can do anything they want, and you know, you're the only one who makes me, you know, have a curfew, or you know, perhaps not date when you're 12 years old. And you know, it's just so important to have the right message and to have a community of other families who share those same beliefs. Because we want the best for our children.
Well, thank you very much for your good work and also for being on the show today. And
Thank
maybe,
you.
as you said, we could have a whole nother show just to talk about influences of the culture on children and how parents can get involved.
That'd be great.
But thank you very much for being on Life Matters.
Appreciate it very much.
Thank you. And thank you for listening. See you next week on Life Matters.